Hi, I'm Christine, and today we've got a lot of projects on the books. One of them is to get this pasture divided up so that we can get our cows out here. Now we're running a little bit behind, so the grass is taller than usual. The holdup was that we had a bunch of calves and we like to have them in the closest pasture so that we can keep an eye on them for a few days, make sure the moms are taking care of them and that there's no problems that need to be addressed. We do rotational grazing on our farm for so many reasons. First, it helps us to get the most from our pastures. By giving our cows just a small section of pasture, it pushes them to eat more than just the tastiest stuff, which is what they would do. They clean it up so much better than if we let them have free rein. It helps to break up the worm cycle because we're moving them away from their manure, so they aren't ingesting parasite eggs. It also gives them relief from flies, again because we're moving them away from the manure, which is where the flies lay their eggs. It allows the pasture to get some rest and regrow between grazings, and it gives us time to address and take care of weeds before they go to seed. And the last thing is, our cows are tamer. They follow us to new pastures, and that allows us a chance to take a good look at them, so we can catch things like injuries or illnesses before they become big problems. This all takes a little time, but we've been doing this for probably 10 or 15 years, maybe more, and have found that this is well worth the effort it takes. I'll put a drawing at the end of the video so you can get an overview of what we do. Now, like I said, we've done this for several years. The cows are pretty used to it. You'll hear them bellowing in the background because they know what's coming and they're wanting to be out here on this pasture. So we have all of our supplies in the bucket of the bobcat, and these things are called pigtails. See the curly Q there at the top? And it's pretty simple. The wire just slides in there, and by having the curly Q, we don't have to go through the hole. We can just loop the wire through. I'll show you how that's done. We've also got what we call as a sock, as we'll string that across an open gate area so the cows have to walk through both when they're coming and going. So when they go into the front pasture to get a drink of water, they're going to go underneath this sock, and the insecticide will rub across the tops of their backs. Now, this pasture that we're in now, normally we like to get them out here when the grass is about 8 inches tall. And if you can tell on the video, there are some areas where it's quite a bit taller than 8 inches. And that's because we've had so much rain these last several days, which is fine. The cows will get out here, they will eat what they want. And then when we move them over to a new pasture, he may come through with the bush hog again and clean up any weeds and mow them down so that they don't go to seed. And this goes pretty quick. He's already got these set out, but I'll just walk a little ways down this mowed area so you can see what we have. These pigtails, they have a little leg on the bottom, and he just steps on them and puts them into the ground. So this is the wire we're using. And it's a poly cord with wire intertwined with it, so it'll carry the electrical current. And all he has to do, these pigtails have a plastic or a rubber coating on the top so that it is able to conduct electricity through the wire, but it doesn't go down to the ground. And all he has to do is take the wire and give it a pull, and then it's contained within the pigtail. This is in the mowed area, obviously, because if the grass touches the wire, it won't carry the electrical current. Now let's go to the far end so I can show you what we have at the other end that connects up to the fence so that it can be a hot wire. The reel that he's holding, in my opinion, is worth its weight in gold. It really is a game changer. And this last 10 or 12 feet from the T-post to the fence, he will put a little jumper wire. Now with our fence, every other wire has electricity going through it. You can tell the ones that have the black plastic, those are the hot wires. And the others are not hot. Now I did mention that we're running a little bit behind this year. The grass is much taller. should say the weeds are much taller than usual. So we're going to get him out here. We'll see how it goes. He may end up having to bush hog some of it, or maybe even bale half or 3/4 of this field just because it's so long. But he'll divide this up into several pieces, and then every 2 or 3 days he'll come out and move them. Some sections are better than others. We did do some work on this pasture as far as overseeding. He drug the harrow through. As the season progresses, if it needs more work, we'll address that as the time comes. So this little mechanism attaches to the T-post. It's got circles on both sides, so he'll be able to tie the fence off.
And the whole reason I do that is so that I'm not putting all the tension on my electric fence and the staples in that with all the tension that's pulled on this. In the past I was pulling staples out, and I went with this method and it saved me a lot of wear and tear on my regular fence.
So these handles that he's putting on are plastic or rubber, so you can touch the handle and not get shocked. And with the little hook that it has on the end, I'll show you what it looks like. You're able to detach and reattach this as needed. We've got a gate at the far end, so by having a 10 or 12 foot section between the T-posts and the perimeter fence, he's able to drop these little wire gates, we'll call them, and drive down here with the truck or a piece of equipment if he needs to. I'll put some links in the description if you're looking to do rotational grazing. You may want to buy some of the items we showed in this video. I do want to mention that I do appreciate any purchases you make through my links. It helps support our channel, and I only link products that I'm confident are good choices. It doesn't cost you anything extra by purchasing through the links, and again, I do appreciate it, so thank you. So if you notice, he just attached it to the wire that's not electric so that he can gauge the distance and make sure that he's got a tight rope. And when he's completely done, then he'll attach it to the ones that are hot. And the mature cows know and respect this wire. The calves will have to learn. A lot of times we'll find them on the other side of the wire. They'll just go underneath. They always come right back to the moms. Obviously they want their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And a lot of times you'll find that the cows will hide their calf in a little tuft of grass, maybe like one of those over there. The calves will hide there, and that's, I think, just a natural instinct to keep them from predators. So this is what it looks like. So simple to put together, so simple to take down. They store really well, the pigtails do, because I can hang them just on a nail on the wall in the barn over the winter time. We do take it down every winter and put it back every spring, and that does help to make them last. We have had to replace a few. Some of them, you'll notice, are clean and fresh and white, like this one we're coming up on, and others are a little more deteriorated. They all still work. I should point out this thing here. He needs to get some more of these insulators, but that allows him to have a second wire further down, which will eventually keep the calves into that paddock. Another thing I wanted to show you. This here is an underground water line. This cap will screw off, and we can reach down and connect into the water and put a stock tank right here. And we have several of them in this pasture further down the line. So every other or every third we can put a stock tank, and the cows don't have to travel all the way back to the front stock tank. And we do that so that we can let this pasture rest and get it cleaned up, because they have eaten it down beyond what we would like. This is one of the ones that's one of my helper cows, meaning she'll give milk to other babies if needed. She always seems to have more than enough. When you look at this drawing, you'll see a black outline. That represents the permanent 6-strand high tensile wire, and every other wire is electrified. This pasture is 6 acres, so we usually break it up into 6 paddocks using a single wire temporary fencing. The green lines indicate the temporary wire, and the pink hash marks that are across the green lines are the pigtails. The brown X's are where we place our T-posts, and the orange dotted lines are wire gates, which we move or open as needed to move the cows or to drive through the field. We have 4 other paddocks that are permanently fenced that we move the cows through as well. Those are smaller areas, 1 acre or less, that we also graze. So altogether we have 10 paddocks that we move the animals through. And if we keep the cows in each area for 2 to 3 days, they won't return to the first paddock for 20 to 30 days. If we run out of grass, we move the animals into a feedlot and feed hay. Typically, August is hot and dry, so we often have to feed hay in August, but that also depends on how many animals we're grazing. And on the opposite side, if we have too much grass like now, we often mow and bale it for later use, like in August or for winter feeding. We are working on adding 3 more fields to our grazing rotation after he puts up some perimeter fences. Now if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Oh, and one more thing. I hope to see you again soon. If you've enjoyed this video, watch this next.